Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers. I never imagined that a single night could unravel everything I had built with Mark. My name is Clara. I'm 32 years old, and for the longest time I believed my marriage was unbreakable. We had been together for 8 years, married for 5. In my mind, Mark was steady, dependable, the kind of man who could weather any storm. Calm. Reliable. The one I leaned on for everything. Or at least that's what I told myself. It started as an ordinary Friday evening. I had planned a small get-together at our apartment. Nothing extravagant. Just a few friends, some drinks, laughter, and a brief escape from the work week. Mark wasn't big on socializing, but he showed up for me as he always did. I remember smiling to myself, thinking how lucky I was that he tolerated my chaos so effortlessly. He never complained, never pushed back. I could tease him, joke at his expense, and he would just laugh along, never taking anything too seriously. That night, I assumed it would be no different. The evening began smoothly. Drinks were poured, music played softly, and conversation flowed easily. Everything felt familiar, comfortable even, until the topic drifted to past relationships. Someone laughed and asked if I had ever been tempted to cheat. My heart skipped for just a moment, but I laughed it off. "Oh, please," I said lightly. "Mark's great, but I'd be lying if I said I'd never been curious." The room erupted in laughter. I felt heat rush to my cheeks, brushing it off as harmless fun. A joke. Nothing more. What I didn't notice was Mark stepping into the kitchen at that exact moment. He heard everything. For just a split second, something flickered across his face. Then he forced a smile and said nothing. I barely registered it. After all, Mark always laughed things off, right? But as the night went on, something shifted. He grew quiet, not angry, not sulking, just distant. Withdrawn. I tried nudging him, whispering jokes, catching his eye across the room. He smiled back, but it felt hollow. Mechanical. A knot of unease settled in my chest, one I tried hard to ignore. When the guests finally left, I expected things to return to normal. Instead, Mark picked up his coat, kissed me lightly on the cheek, and said quietly, "I'm going for a walk." He didn't wait for a response. He didn't explain. He just left. Dramatic much? I muttered, rolling my eyes. But deep down, a small voice whispered that something had changed irreversibly. The next morning, the apartment felt heavier, quieter. I tried to break the tension over coffee. "Are you still upset about last night?" I asked. "It was just a joke." Mark looked up at me then. His gaze was steady, clear, and for the first time sharp. "It wasn't just a joke, Clara," he said calmly. "It was years of jokes. Years of me being the punchline. And I'm done pretending it doesn't hurt." I froze. He continued, his voice controlled but firm. "I've laughed along. I've told myself it didn't matter. But it does. This isn't harmless. It's who you are. And I can't do this anymore." The words landed like a blow. "You're serious?" I whispered. He nodded. No hesitation. No anger. Just certainty. In the days that followed, the distance only grew. My calls went unanswered. My messages unread. When I tried to find him at work, his assistant gently told me he had already left. I replayed everything. Every comment, every joke, every moment I brushed off his silence as patience. And then it hit me. It wasn't one joke that broke us. It was the pattern. The casual mockery I had mistaken for affection. The respect I assumed he would never demand. I had taken him for granted. I reached out to our friends, desperate for reassurance. One of them hesitated before finally saying, "Clara, I think he's done." A week later, Mark came back to collect his things. I had rehearsed my apology 100 times. But when I saw him standing there, calm, composed, distant, I knew words wouldn't fix what I had broken. There was no anger in his eyes. Only something I had never truly noticed before. Self-respect. Quiet strength. A boundary I had ignored for far too long. "I deserve better than this," he said simply. "I deserve respect. I deserve a partner who values me. Not someone who belittles me for amusement." I wanted to argue, to plead, to explain. But the truth was undeniable. Mark didn't leave in anger or chaos. He left in silence. In calm. In finality. I sat alone in the apartment, staring at the space he once occupied. realizing too late what I had lost. The man I thought would always stay chose himself. And in doing so, he showed me exactly what I had taken for granted. If you want, I can also make this shorter for YouTube narration. Add a strong hook opening. Write a viral title, 10 to 15 words. Convert it into dialogue-heavy drama. Just tell me,